Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Vina and I and for coming to watch our video today. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing conversation between Vina and I because we have done a couple of other interviews together, which have always been quite a pleasure to do with you, Vina. My name is Soila and I'm the founder of the Divorce Magazine, and I will let Vina tell us who she is.
Hi, Soila. Yes, first of all, congratulations on founding the Divorce Magazine.
Thank you very much.
It's a really important resource and very much needed.
Thank you. Thanks, Vina.
I'm Vena Ramphal, and I teach people how to create fulfilling love and sex lives by being true to their authentic self. And in fact, one of my core group of clients is people who are going through divorce and coming out of a long-term relationship and starting to date again. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited to be chatting with you today.
Okay, and our topic of conversation today is something that actually you introduced me to, isn't it? Because I was kind of like unaware that there was, I had an inkling, I didn't really know what it was about, but you named it and you called it digital flirting. So
that's right.
We're going to look at it today. Maybe you can start by telling us, what is digital flirting?
Yes. So digital flirting is any kind of communication that takes place virtually. So, via either text or even email or via private message on a social media platform or any of the kind of dating apps that are out there. Okay. And it's a really hot topic because especially for people who have been in a marriage or a long-term relationship and they're coming out into the dating world again, and they haven't been single. It's been a long time since they've been single, and they step out into the dating world and it feels like it's a whole new territory. And of course, digital communication is one of the areas that has changed completely. Yeah. And so it's a really new thing. It's a new skill that people have to learn.
Yeah, and it's I mean, already when you've been in a relationship for a long time and then you step out of it, it's already complicated enough when you get into the dating world without adding on the pressures of technology, which has basically, it's taking over our lives as we speak. I mean, we're using it now.
That's right.
Okay, we're not flirting, but
completely changed the world. So what I wanted to focus on today was specifically written communication. So not necessarily this kind of conversation via Skype where you can see the other person.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, exactly. When you're doing that, that's exactly what it is. Because there's a whole, there's a whole set of specific things you need to take into consideration.
Okay.
Because first of all, because there's no physical presence, there's no kind of visceral interaction.
Yeah.
It's highly edited. So you are actually sharing a highly edited version of yourself through digital flirting.
Can you come back a little bit closer to the camera? I think I'm beginning to lose you
Sure.
somewhere. Okay, let's try with that.
Okay, so the whole set of things you need to take into account when you are, texting. It's basically doing all of that without the physical interaction. In other words, when you can't see each other, and the only communication is via words. That is a highly edited version of yourself that you are sharing, and a highly edited version of the other person that you're receiving.
Okay.
And potentially, because of that, there is room for miscommunication and misunderstanding, and I know we've spoken about this before.
Yes, and so one of the things that we know that with texting, like you're saying, there is no tone, and it's very easy for somebody else to just run away with what they understand or what they perceive from the words that are on their screen. So what would you say? I mean, digital flirting is here, and it's here to stay with us, but what happens with the energy? There is a kind of energy passing through this kind of communication, and what would you have to say about the energetics of it all?
Okay, yes. So the first thing that I tell people is to remember that there is no tone in text.
That's
and because there's no tone in text, the other person is left to interpret a lot.
Yes.
Okay, there is this gap. So if you want to, remember that flirting is meant to be light and fun, and so on. But sometimes the words can kind of land quite heavily. So because of the lack of tone, one thing you can do to start to put in a little bit
more tone is to use the emoticons.
Okay. So those are
So to use the smileys and the winks and all of those little clues, because they at least start to give the person a sense of, okay, what is the tone? Is she joking, or is he just being cheeky and having a laugh? And that allows you to start to share some kind of tone and intent in the text that you're sending.
And it can kind of sometimes it can help you cover up probably what you have said. If you said something and you think, oh, that didn't come out properly, and you immediately send a smile, then they think, oof. On the other side, it's like, okay, right. I see. So the emoticons are there. So what would you say is your first rule of flirting, digital flirting?
Flirting, okay. So we mentioned flirting and also sexting, because that's where, so I think there's this line where kind of, flirting might get a little bit more intense, and then you start exchanging words about sharing physical interaction, and so it can kind of go into sexting. I think that's where people need to be careful, and my golden rule for that is only text it if you've done it physically.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take the kisses.
Yes.
Because that's something that people kind of get hooked up on, this question of, well, should I put the XXX on the end, or should I leave them off, or do I always put them on, or
do I put one? Do I put two?
Exactly, how many to put on that? Oh my goodness, people can really agonize over that, can't they? She only put one X. What does that mean?
Yeah.
She annoyed me. It's quite incredible. So so the golden rule is only do it digitally if you've done it physically.
Okay.
Okay. So particularly when it comes to sexting,
okay,
you don't want to start sharing intimacy, because that's the thing. Remember, it is digital. It's digital, and you're not there physically, but actually, it is an intimacy that you're sharing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that unless you've actually done that physically with the person, so you know that you want to do it and you're comfortable and so on, and you know that you're going to want to interact with them in that way.
Okay. What if you actually like the other person, you're interested in the other person, and they start sexting as opposed to flirt texting?
Right, yes. So if the other person starts sexting and you are not comfortable with that, then do not respond in that way. Don't respond by sexting.
So don't encourage them.
Definitely don't encourage them. And in fact, what you should do, and people find this really difficult because they worry that they're going to come across as rude or in some way cold.
Yes.
Or, it's a particularly English thing as well. We feel terrible at making the other person feel bad.
Yeah.
But actually, if you receive a text that you feel is inappropriate, tell the person that you think it's inappropriate.
Okay.
Okay, and I know it takes guts to do that, but it's very important to say, actually, that felt inappropriate.
Yeah.
Please don't text me in that way.
Yeah.
And you might want to pick up the phone and have that conversation on the phone rather than texting back.
Yeah. And I guess, like you're saying, it's all about the words that you use to communicate this back to the other person and how you put it across to them. But if it's really not working with you, it's something that you have to say, no.
Absolutely,
and
I would encourage people to don't worry about being rude, because you're going to tend to try to be over polite anyway. That's usually the natural tendency.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, be clear.
Okay.
Remember that there is nothing rude about being clear.
Okay,
all right. Setting a clear boundary.